Al Jazeera, 13th of February 2024, Fix it from within. Many Chinese Indonesians are running for parliamentary seats. Nearly 10,000 candidates, some of them members of the ethnic Chinese minority living in Indonesia, will compete in Wednesday's general elections to fill the position of one of the country's 580 parliamentarians. The General Elections Commission, KPU, of Indonesia reports that 9,917 candidates from 18 political parties are running in 38 provinces. Chinese American Indonesians, who comprised approximately 2.8 million of the country's 237 million inhabitants in the 2010 national census, are among those running. Its ethnicities were not listed in the 2020 census, which was more recent. Democracy has given Chinese Indonesians access to formerly restricted political rights. Chinese Indonesians were not permitted to celebrate the Lunar New Year publicly for more than 30 years under Suharto's rule, which ended in 1998 due to widespread protests. Assimilation policies were implemented in an attempt to make them more Indonesian, essentially making them second-class citizens. Many denied opportunities in government jobs moved to business and the private sector to earn a life. Taufik Tanasaldi, a senior lecturer in Indonesian and Asian studies at the University of Tasmania, stated that politics is not for everyone. Especially for the Chinese who had to put up with decades of discriminatory laws under the Suharto administration. However, Taufik referred to the equal chances for ethnic Chinese to run for office. He cast ballots for their favored candidates, saying interest had grown post-Suharto due to political reforms and policies aimed at eradicating discriminatory practices. This increasing interest was spurred by the elections or appointments of several Chinese citizens to positions in national and provincial politics. The Chinese minority has benefited from the prominence of their early success, he told Al Jazeera. Ahok, also known as former Jakarta Governor Basuki Tjahajapurnama, is a well-known Chinese politician. He eventually served time in prison for blasphemy related to remarks he made during the campaign trail, and ever since his release, he has kept a lower profile. Taufik stated, "Representation has been stable, definitely not getting worse." However, Taufik stated that parties with nationalist platforms are more attractive compared to those championing sectarian values, particularly at the national level for a large number of Chinese Indonesian voters. Indonesia has almost 205 million eligible voters who will participate in the 2024 election out of a total population of over 270 million. The general elections are scheduled 4 days following the Lunar New Year. Ash Wednesday, a holy day for Catholic Indonesians, falls on February 14th. Specific candidates may suffer from the existing proportional representation system, even with representation, since they must now run for office directly. In contrast to the old system, which gave votes to the party rather than the individual candidates, Arsiti Zero, a research professor of political science at Indonesia's National Research and Innovation Agency, BRIN, claims that the open list made it very difficult to compete for some candidates. It is more up to the legislative candidate to put in the work, their time or money, in implementing tactical plans, not the party, she stated to Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera interviewed 3 Chinese Indonesian candidates for the national parliament. PKB Fuadi Lukman. The National Awakening Party, PKB, which has its headquarters in the Muslim world, is run by Fuadi Lukman for president and vice president. Anies Baswedan and Muhaimin Iskandar are the party's current chairpersons. Abdurrahman Wahid, often known as Gusdur, was one of the founding members of PKB. He oversaw lifting the ban on public Lunar New Year festivities in 2000. The 61-year-old Fuadi is originally from Singkawang in the West Kalimantan state of Indonesia. She arrived in Jakarta in 1983 for university and has stayed there ever since. He spoke with locals while conducting his campaign in some of the most impoverished areas of the vast city and shared videos on Instagram and TikTok. Friday, who runs a wood-related business in Jakarta, urged Chinese nationals to participate in Indonesia's Festival of Democracy by casting a ballot. He said to Al Jazeera, "We ethnic Chinese who are loyal to China do not need to feel allergic to politics because we live in Indonesia. When we put the democratic processes aside, do not ask to be recognized as Indonesians." If elected, Fuadi wants to pursue justice and equality-related programs, emphasizing more reasonably priced healthcare and education. Mary Sucipto became a member of the Labour Party, or Partai Buruh, whose founders include Indonesia's national trade union confederations. Said Iqbal, a Labour leader, leads the party, which has not yet endorsed a presidential candidate. Mary Suchto, Buruh Partai. Running a construction company, Mary says she believes Partai Buruh provides the ideal platform for advocating for improved social welfare and law enforcement for Indonesia's working class, including white and blue-collar workers. The 54-year-old, born in Medan in the North Sumatra province of Indonesia, relocated to Jakarta more than 30 years ago for college and is vying for a seat in the national parliament from the city. Mary introduces herself and gives out business cards to strangers she meets as part of her campaign approach. She has also requested the assistance of her friends, family, and business associates. She told Al Jazeera, "I hope there's an opportunity and possibility for people like me, for an ordinary female Chinese minority to run for office without political experience and background." In the Indonesian province of Central Java, Reddy Nusantara is a Perindo party candidate. Perindo is supporting Mahfud MD and Ganjar Pranowo for the presidency. When President Joko Widodo won a second term in 2019, it endorsed the departing leader. The 55-year-old, who runs a factory producing metal racks for cabling, hopes to draw in more foreign capital to Indonesia and create a tax structure that incentivizes producers to employ local goods instead of imports that enter the nation through special economic zones. Initially from Semarang's regional capital, Reddy aims to win over first-time voters in the nation's business and ethnic Chinese populations. Additionally, he wants to persuade anyone considering not casting a ballot to reconsider. Reddy also made an appearance on video podcasts where she discussed entrepreneurship. He encourages Chinese Indonesians to get involved in national politics and fix it from within, especially the younger generation. The ethnic Chinese community, especially the youth, must understand Indonesian politics. Reddy told Al Jazeera, "We, the ethnic Chinese community, especially the youth, need to understand Indonesian politics." He expressed the hope that greater political involvement would help dispel the persistent misconception that ethnic Chinese people are only interested in business and deceiving the Indonesian people. "Because if we, the Chinese community, do not understand the parliament, we will always be the cash cow of the Indonesian economy," he said.